Now, several days after President Trump's decision to abandon Syrian Kurds, we find out that it might have something to do with President's personal investments. Now, President Trump appears to have properties in Istanbul. In fact, Trump Tower, Istanbul. So that investment, that property, was built in Turkey's capital about 7 years ago. So, in fact, Erdogan, the then country's prime minister, attended the grand opening of the Twin Skyscraper project. And you know who was there to congratulate him? Ivanka Trump. In fact, there's a tweet on April 12th, 2012, that said, "Thank you, Prime Minister Erdogan, for joining us yesterday to celebrate the launch of Trump Towers Istanbul." So, yeah, that was Ivanka back in 2012. So, yeah, that happened. So, now, President Trump, obviously the President of the United States, Ivanka, one of the White House aides, who doesn't actually do anything, but other than, of course, profit off being in the White House and being a Trump. If you're mad about Biden, you should be incredibly angry about Ivanka Trump. I wonder how many MAGA people will feel the same kind of anger at this sort of nepotism going on in the White House. But okay. So now Donald Trump has refused to divest from his businesses, from the Trump organization. And so he's getting money to this day from Trump Tower Istanbul. I wonder if that has anything to do with his decision to back Turkey, his Turkish allies, or our Turkish allies, I should say. And look, they are our allies. Don't get me wrong. They again have the second largest army in NATO. They're an excellent partner when it comes to stabilization of the Middle East. But at the same time, we also have our allies, the Kurds, that helped us fight ISIS. And so we can't turn our backs on them. So again, an incredibly complicated situation. And now we have an element of personal corruption to throw into the mix. Now, this is what a lot of people, a lot of critics of Trump have been trying to point out. In fact, this is Jordan Leibowitz, communications director for the watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. He said this, quote, "We've warned for years that Trump's decision to hold on to his business empire, particularly in the properties in places like Turkey, would one day lead to a national security decision shrouded by his conflicts of interest." And that, of course, appears to be the case. So now, a financial disclosure that Donald Trump had filed in May claims that he earned between $100,000 and $1 and $1 million from the Istanbul project in the last year, the same range he claimed for the previous year. In a June 2017 filing, Trump claimed he'd earned between $1 and $5 million from the project in the preceding 12 months. So Donald Trump, let's be clear, is making money from Trump Tower Istanbul, which is why we have, in the past, made presidents divest from their business so that they do not make decisions based on their profit motive. I mean, it should be incredibly clear that you can't do that, but Donald Trump has taken corruption to new open heights. But here's how the White House responds. Quote, this is Stephanie Grisham. She said that the decision had nothing to do with Trump Tower's Istanbul building complex. Of course not, she said. No, of course not. And we're just supposed to believe you. Now, look, I'm not saying that's the only reason. No, I think Donald Trump is deeply ignorant of the situation, like everything else, because he doesn't read, he doesn't care about briefings, he just doesn't care about learning facts. And so, and let me give you an example of that, by the way. He called this situation a tribal conflict. Again, Turkey isn't exactly a tribe. Just saying. They're a very industrial, modern country. They've got the second largest army in NATO, and the United States. And by the way, the United States, when it comes to the Kurds, have relied on Kurdish fighters for decades, not just in the fight against ISIS, but against Iraq and other places. So, and by the way, every time we ended up stabbing them in the back. Very important distinction, right? So, in fact, we've done this 7 times so far. And if we go through this, of course, and don't protect the Kurds from what could be a complete massacre by Turkish forces, we're on track for an 8th time. So, now, Grisham says, oh, no, of course, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump's businesses. Well, Grisham doesn't have a good track record. On August 15th, for example, Grisham described as inaccurate a report that Trump was encouraging Israel to prohibit Representative Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib from entering the country of Israel. Within the hour, Trump tweeted, it would show great weakness if Israel allowed Omar and Tlaib to visit. Inaccurate. Totally. Now, previously, Trump's press office had also denied that Trump knew about his former lawyer's payment, Michael Cohen, to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. Trump had conspired with Cohen to make a $130,000 payment. Cohen is currently serving in prison. Donald Trump, the co-conspirator, is president of the United States. Not buying it. Not buying any of it. Okay. So now, apart from the Istanbul project, Turkish officials, including the trade minister, the defense minister, and the ambassador to the United States, have made 14 separate visits to Trump's hotel a few blocks from the White House since his inauguration. I'm sure that has nothing to do with any of that. No, they know. Just like any other world leader knows that if you want business between Donald Trump and you want Donald Trump to meet with you or do favors for you, then all you have to do is pay to play. Because that's how this works. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.